Hello, today we're going to be talking about Dave Chappelle Equanimity. This is a new Netflix original comedy special that was just released today, December 31st on Netflix. And yeah, it's a New Year's Eve special that just came out, and it's Dave Chappelle. He actually has two of them. This is just the first one. So I watched it and I'm making this video now. It's really good. As usual, Dave Chappelle comedy is pretty funny, and he really knows what he's doing. And in fact, he jokes about that in this special. He jokes about how he should be quitting because he's too good at it, and he really does have some really good jokes about that, and kind of like a quitting while you're ahead kind of mentality. And he uses Kevin Hart as an example of what happens if you don't quit while you're ahead. And, the sex tape with Kevin Hart and how that hurt his career or may hurt his career. And so he kind of joked a little bit about that because he is friends with Kevin Hart. So they just kind of mentioned it. He didn't really go into it too much. And he was really funny about that. He talks about how, he's too funny. He's too good at what he does. It's too easy for him to make jokes. And obviously, he was saying it in jest, but it was hilarious the way he was doing it. He even has an example of just coming up with a punchline and then doing a joke afterwards to get that punchline. And he demonstrates it to the crowd, and it was actually really funny the way he did it. He talks a bit about Trump, not too much. Mostly he's talking about how the difference between, voting 8 years ago and how proud and excited all the people were, and then how different it was voting this time. He talks about how he never really grew up in the projects like people think, but he didn't have a problem letting people think that. But he actually grew up poor in a white neighborhood, which was different. And he kind of compared growing up in the projects and saying how it was easier than how he grew up. And he obviously was making fun of it, but he was doing it in a funny way, and it was actually pretty funny the way he did it. And he talks about having to go to a friend's house who had more stuff than him, things like that. One of the things he talked about going to one of his white friends' houses was stovetop. And, back in the day when stovetop stuffing was just coming out, and how excited kids were to have it and how excited he was to have it. So that leads into a pretty funny joke. And he talks about, how different it was for Obama to go into the White House than it is for Trump to go into a White House. And talks a bit about Trump again, like I said. And he talks about mostly, he does talk about actually feeling sorry for him because of how hard the media is on him. And how, there were times when he would laugh at things that Trump did and then kind of think of it from the other point of view. And he talks a lot about politics, not too much about politics, but a little. Mostly about feeling bad about voting for Clinton, but it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. He kind of just, it's one of those things where he did it because he had to, because it was the only way to not vote for Trump. So that was something that he definitely felt bad about, but had to do. And he just wasn't, for some reason, he talks about how he did one show where people, when he said that joke, people thought that meant he was a Trump supporter, even though he's not. So that was pretty funny. His wife was calling him about it after reading about it in the paper, and that caught him by surprise a bit. And he talks about getting older, dealing with his son getting older and maybe smoking dope like he used to or does, but having to deal with that. And he talks about the why some people just don't like him because of some of the jokes he's told, but how he doesn't want his jokes to hurt people, but he also doesn't want to be censored by having to think about hurting people every time he tells a joke. So, it's up to the people listening to his jokes to not take them seriously, which was a good message. And he does have good messages in his specials. He talks a bit about how the civil rights movement started and what happened, and how glad he is that happened. He did kind of turn it into a joke at the end. Not the civil rights movement. He did have a punchline though that made people laugh at the end, which was pretty funny. And he has a lot of mostly it's his delivery, and like he said, he does have confidence in the way he's presenting his jokes, and he knows he's good at it. So that really it makes things funny. He even has like one interaction with a crowd member who kind of like yelled some stuff at the stage that was pretty funny and brought a lot of laughs. So overall, like it is really good, and it does have a lot of laugh out loud moments. It's not just little chuckles here and there. They're like laughing out loud, like just really hilarious moments. So that's Dave Chappelle. Equanimity is the name of the special. I don't know why they came up with that name, but that's what it is. And definitely give it a thumbs up on Netflix, and definitely recommend it for other people to watch. As far as a rating goes, as far as a Netflix special, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10, and definitely recommend it. So if you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.